You lose the woman, but what they don't tell you is you lose yourself too. And that's what hit me hardest after divorce. It wasn't the money. It wasn't the paperwork. It wasn't even moving out of the home that we had built a life in. It was looking in the mirror and not knowing who the hell I was anymore. I'm Joe Font. I'm a dad, a business owner, and I had to completely rebuild my life in my late 40s after divorce, financial loss, and a serious identity shift. I was 45 when my marriage ended, and for nearly a decade, my identity was clear. I was a husband, I was a full-time father, a family man, and I took pride in that. It meant everything to me. And then one day, it was gone. I wasn't a husband anymore, and I was still a dad, but only 50% of the time. And that family structure, that rhythm, that purpose, it went away overnight. The silence when the kids weren't home, that's when it really hit. And if you're in that space right now, if you're in that silence wondering what the hell you're going to do next, I want to talk to you because I've been there and I found my way out. Let me tell you something every man has to face after divorce. You have to take responsibility. And I don't mean guilt or blame. I mean ownership. You've got to own your part in how the relationship got to where it did. For some guys, it might mean that they were checked out. Maybe they cheated. Maybe they avoided conflict, or they didn't show up in a way that they should have. If that's you, own it. Not to punish yourself, but so that you don't repeat it. Now, for me personally, I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I did everything I could to make it work. But I stayed in a relationship that I knew deep down just wasn't right. We weren't meant for each other. We grew apart, and my responsibility was that I ignored the red flags, both at the beginning and along the way. I tried to force something that wasn't aligned and tried to make it work. And that's on me. Not to feel shame, but to reclaim my power and the ability to do something. Because when you take full responsibility for your part, not hers, that's when you start to change. That's when everything starts to change. If you don't take responsibility, then there's nothing you can do. And it's all on someone else. And now you're just a victim. But when you own your own piece, when you take that power back, you can do something about it. And that's how you stop repeating the past and start building something better. Now, here's the truth. Most guys spiral after divorce. They start drinking too much, they party, they chase women, or they go numb, scrolling on social media, watching Netflix, living off of takeout, and they just hope that the pain goes away. I've done a little bit of both. A couple of nights with tequila and bad decisions, and a couple of weeks of ghosting life altogether. It didn't fix anything. It just delayed everything. You can't rebuild your life from that place. You've got to shift your identity, not to who you were, but who you're meant to become. And that was the hardest part for me, losing the identity I loved. I wasn't just grieving a lost relationship. I was grieving the man I used to be. I loved being a husband. I loved being the guy walking into a full house with my kids running up to me. I loved being a part of that family rhythm. And when it all ended, I felt like someone ripped that identity off of me. But what I learned is that identity wasn't stolen. It was ready to evolve. And I had a choice to hold on to what was gone or to build what comes next. I started to get clear on who I was now and who I wanted to become. If you have kids like I do, start there. Build your new life around their stability. For me, it meant staying in the same area, same school, same neighborhood, same routine, so that they didn't feel like their entire world had flipped upside down. And honestly, that consistency helped me too. If you don't have kids, your job is to get clear on your values. Who are you now? What do you actually want to do with this next chapter? What's that going to look like? Because when you have clarity, you have direction. And when you have direction, you start gaining momentum. Next, I made my health my priority. Physical health, mental health, emotional discipline. And I'll say this straight. cut the alcohol, or at least drastically reduce it. You don't need more fog in your life. You need clarity. You need energy, discipline, and control. Booze, it'll promise you comfort, but it delivers regret. And you'll need every ounce of strength to rebuild this new chapter. So I got into shape. I trained consistently. I tracked my nutrients. I took the right supplements, and I focused on rest and recovery. Not because I was trying to impress anyone. Okay, maybe I was trying to impress women, but I did it mostly because I wanted to feel strong again. When your body is dialed in, your mind follows, and the physical comeback fuels everything else. Then came the financial side. And let's be honest, divorce can be a financial gut punch. You lose a lot. But if you fight to win every little thing, you end up stuck longer in bitterness. For me, I said, let's find what's fair, let's finalize it, and let's move on. I paid off every bit of debt before we signed all the paperwork. And I did that knowing that even if it meant that I was starting from zero, I wanted a clean slate. There's no ties to the past and no lingering mess or anything for the future. From there, I started rebuilding step by step. And I stayed focused on progress, not on perfection. If you're still figuring that out, talk to someone who knows what they're doing. Get them to help you track your spending, cut the waste, and to give yourself the room to breathe and rebuild. Now, as a single dad, I had to step up in a whole new way. All the things she used to handle, they're now yours. School emails, study help, meal planning, emotional support, daily routines, discipline. It was really overwhelming. I remember there were a few dad dinners that ended up in the trash, followed by an immediate call to the pizza delivery guy. But the kids were fed and I survived. And that was a win in my book. It makes you a better man to have to go through all of that. Your kids don't need perfection. They need consistency. They need presence. They need you. And lastly, don't rush into another relationship. I know the temptation. You're lonely. You miss companionship. You want some action. You want someone to see you. But don't try to fix an emotional wound with romantic attention. Heal first. Do the work, get stable. And then if the right woman comes along, great. But make sure it comes from overflow and not emptiness or desperation. So here's what I'll leave you with. Write down your comeback plan. Seriously, write it down. Health, finances, parenting, mindset, career, daily habits, everything. Write it all down and start small. Start today, but just start. Remember, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And the second act of your life, it can be the strongest one yet if you build it with intention. You didn't fail. You just outgrew a chapter that needed to end. Now it's time to rebuild.